Here in person and on Facebook. The theme for August is Living Everyday Wonder, Nature. The topic for today is the water of life. In the book of John, chapter 4, verse 14, Jesus speaks using the symbol of water to describe the nature of spirit. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. John Muir, naturalist and environmental philosopher, once said, "When we contemplate the whole globe as one great dewdrop, striped and dotted with continents and islands, flying through space with other stars all singing and shining together as one, the whole universe appears as an infinite storm of beauty." Let's affirm together, I am grateful for the waters of life that sustain me. And now, it is my great pleasure to introduce the ever-inspiring Reverend Kathleen.
Thank you, Janet. That was just lovely, lovely, lovely. I want to also give you one more quote that I think is so beautiful. This is by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who wrote in his book called The Magic in Your Mind, "Everything in nature contains all the powers of nature. Everything is made of one hidden stuff." One hidden stuff. That one hidden stuff, God stuff. God stuff. Everything is made of God stuff. And if we truly believe that God is all there is, that everything is made of God stuff, then it is natural to treat everything in nature, which includes ourselves, with great love and great respect. And so let us consciously, more consciously than ever, do our part in restoring the planet to perfect health. So today our focus is on not earth, not air, not fire, but water. Yes, all the elements. But this particular element is so vital for our survival. And so that's why the focus is on it. It's something that we can tend to take for granted. And that is seen by polluting the waters, dumping chemicals and garbage and trash into the waters. It's something that we have witnessed, and it's something that our Native American brothers and sisters have brought to our attention over the years, and something that is important for us to address. And it has been addressed in many different places. I know the Great Lakes, for instance, are a great example of that used to be incredibly polluted, and then people started doing things to clean it up. So we know that there's progress in consciousness, and yet I'm here today, my intention here today is to create even more progress in consciousness and in action. So that's my intention. And also to really cement in our consciousness the incredible value of water. So let's begin with the value of water. Our planet, seen from space, is this amazing, beautiful blue-green globe, but mostly blue, because 71% of our biosphere is water. And we think of water, in the oceans and in all the bodies of water, but it's important to remember that water is in the atmosphere too. Water is like everywhere. And so from roaring waterfalls to crashing waves to gentle rain, to billowing clouds, and yes, to that thing that we call humidity, water makes up this huge amount of our biosphere. And yet, only a small percentage, a very small percentage, is available or is good for drinking or for agriculture. And yet, some of that has been polluted as well. Because mostly the water is what? Salt water. So water is so valuable to human existence that, listen to this, 80% of humans live within 60 miles of a major body of water, whether it's an ocean, a lake, or a river. 80%. Over 1/2 billion people owe their livelihoods directly to water. And 2/3 of the global economy is derived from activities involving water. I was thinking of things like the hydroelectric plants, shipping, tourism, fishing, etc. And approximately 1 billion people worldwide rely on water-based protein, which is what? Fish. Yeah, fish and seafood. So we use water for drinking, cleansing, working, traveling, and for recreation, and a lot of other things, and also for energy. It is estimated that each person in the U.S. uses, listen to this, 80 to 100 gallons of water per day. Wow. Mind-blowing, isn't it? So, and they say that's for basic needs. So water, because of its fluid nature and ability to turn into a gaseous state, it has these incredible chemical properties Dan was sharing with me that make it just the most amazing thing, because it's soluble and it fits into all kinds of little crevices and spaces so easily, and just surface tension of the water, and it goes up into the air and turns into clouds and back into rain. It's just this amazing, amazing substance, an amazing gift. So it's everywhere. It's underground, it's in plants, it's in animals, it's in the atmosphere. It's really mind-blowing when you think about it. So water is so essential to life that the ancient mystics used water as a symbol to describe the nature of spirit. And so Jesus was a really good example, that quote that Janet just read. He was teaching a woman at a well who was there filling up her bottle or her whatever her water container was. and so he took it as a moment to teach her about the nature of spirit using the symbol of water. And water is, the idea that water is inexhaustible. Spirit is inexhaustible, like inexhaustible water, a water that never stops flowing. Spirit is water that is life-giving, just like our water, regular water is. And spirit is eternal. And so he was taking water and then adding these additional qualities to it to describe the inexhaustible source or wellspring of life itself, which is soul satisfying, quenches the thirst of the soul. Ernest Holmes in The Art of Life also used water when teaching about affirmative prayer that we call spiritual mind treatment, which is speaking the truth, knowing the truth about God as all there is and the oneness of life. And so he said this, he said, just as water purifies itself as it flows, so the impure stream of our mental life becomes purified by applied constructive thinking. That's another way of looking at spiritual mind treatment. He said it may well be that a lack of circulation in the physical body is a result of mental stagnation, while mental stagnation is a result of a lack of spiritual perception. A lack of spiritual perception. That means forgetting that we are one with all life, that everything is interdependent, that everything is of the one source. So here's the good news. It's something called biophilia. Anybody hear that before? So bio means life. Philia means love. So it means the love of life. The people who are the theorists of this biophilia start with the idea that we as humans and our ancestors have spent 3 million years and 100,000 generations in nature. So we are bonded to nature. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. And so as a result, we have a natural tendency to be in love with, to feel bonded and in love with nature. Anybody notice that? I know that's true for me. And I was thinking about our indigenous brothers and sisters who speak of everything on the planet as family. Father Sky, Mother Earth, Brother Buffalo, Sister Deer, Grandmother Tree or Grandfather Tree. A reminder of that everything is family, everything is interconnected. I get God bumps when I think about that. I think it might be a really good practice if we start doing that, don't you think? To remind ourselves that we're all family. And so biophilia then is in our genetic makeup. And all we need to do to reactivate it, if we're in buildings all the time, all day long, 24/7, we can tend to forget that. And that's why it's so important to be out in nature to reactivate that biophilia that is innate within us and get back in touch with our love of all life. And why is this love of all life so important? Well, another part of this theory is that beautiful landscapes, and by the way, someone has gone around and done a study and found out that there is a universal, beautiful landscape kind of makeup, and this is what it looks like. It tends to be grassy lands, there are open spaces, interspersed with trees, and with a body of water. That's part of the picture. And I was thinking about the pictures that I drew as a kid. And I think the only other element that I added to it were mountains in the back and the sunshine. But when I think about it, that's the kind of thing that as a kid I just naturally drew. And so here's the thing that the theorists say. They say that these kinds of elements gathered together in this way represent our survival, the survival of our ancestors. And so that's why it conjures up these amazing feelings of love and appreciation of it as beauty, survival. So think about it. Grasses and trees contain food. Meadows helped our ancestors see approaching danger. Climbable trees help them escape predators. And a source of water, of course, to drink and to cleanse and so on. So this beautiful thing called biophilia, something that we can activate anytime we go out in nature. So finally, our bodies are mostly water. Alan Watts, the great mystic, said, "You didn't come into this world, you came out of it. Like a wave from the ocean, you are not a stranger here. You are not a stranger here." Our ancestors, and some would maybe disagree with this, but our ancestors evolved from swimming in water to crawling to walking. So the interesting thing is the water in our cells has this essentially the same mineral content as the ocean. Isn't that cool? And when babies are developing in the early stages, they have gill slits. Those disappear eventually, but it's like a recall of a time when we were water, when we were of the water. And we spend our first 9 months immersed in a very watery womb of our mother. And then when we're born, we are 78% water. And even though the water content declines over the years as we age, the brain apparently continues to remain at about 80% water. So, of course, the first thing that comes to my mind is the importance of hydration. We hear it all the time, don't we? And many of us carry water bottles with us. I see them over here. Because we understand the importance of hydration, of replenishing that water in our body temple on a regular basis. So it's important for our survival, and we've learned that it's important for all the systems in the body, the purification of the body, and the perfect functioning of everything in the body. So the whole thing that is so important about this is that clean, pure, and abundant water is essential for survival, not only of us as a human species, but all of life on this planet. And yet, one of the major challenges that we have in this day and age, besides pollution of water, is that the global water industry bottles water near sources and then sells it to people who once had free access to these sources. So consumers then pay for water and then have to deal with the plastic packaging on top of that. And how did this happen? It happened because of a consciousness of separation, a tendency to forget the interconnection of life, that we are all one, that we are all interdependent. And so many of us now understand the importance of, if we have to, use a water filter in our home so that we can carry our own water and use reusable bottles. So in order for our planet to survive, there are a couple things that are necessary, but we always go back to what? Consciousness. The consciousness of oneness, the awareness that we are all interconnected, and knowing that we can activate that biophilia by getting out in nature as much as possible. And so what I'd like to offer you is a practice. And I was experimenting with this the last couple days on what was working for me, and you find what works for you. But I like the idea of just, while I'm taking my walk, to just contemplate all the places where water resides in nature. And that's where I came up with humidity. And I'm no longer going to complain about humidity. I mean, I don't want to complain anyway, but I just realized humidity is water. Humidity is God. And there are some parts of the world where they would love to have a little humidity because it's so dry, places in our own country. And I was just thinking about all the water in the plants and the animals, and I was thinking sometime I'm going to look up and see what percentage of plants are water. I bet it's like 3/4, about the same it is for us. Water is just an amazing thing, and it is an amazing symbol for the essence of who we are. So another thing I thought I would do, besides contemplating it, is just tell myself, this too is God. and I'm in love with you. This too is God, and I'm in love with you. This too is God, and I'm in love with you. And I was just thinking today, what I could add to that is start calling the different aspects of nature grandmother tree, grandfather tree, and you come up with your own. But the point is that we rekindle that deep love and appreciation and respect that we have for nature, because what will come of that will be actions that reflect that consciousness. Consciousness is always first. Our actions will then naturally flow from that place. And so I'd like you to turn within with me so that we can know the truth together with this prayer that I offer. In a full realization that this magnificent universe is the body of God, for God is all there is. The beauty, the order, the harmony, the complexity of life in the universe and life on this planet is awe-inspiring. Truly a masterpiece of the great master artist of the universe, as each one of us are uniquely and individually expressed as spirit itself, represented here on the planet. And so I know that our hearts are rekindled, awakened to that natural state of biophilia, love for life, love for everything that's a part of life. That our actions emanate from that place of an open heart. And that truly we here gathered and those who are joining us on Facebook are making a profound and powerful difference just through a little shift here and a little shift there in how we go about our day and about how we treat this beautiful resource, this gift of God called water. I give my thanks for knowing that this word is falling into universal law and is responded to with a powerful demonstration of this goodness in our lives. And so I invite us to prepare ourselves in a state of acceptance by saying together, yes, and so it is. Thank you very much, everyone.